Hi Capricorn, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your June 2026 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, it's a 12 card spread with each card representing a different house of the zodiac. Starting with your sign, Capricorn is the first house, all the way through to Sagittarius representing the 12th house. And once we get to the main spread, we'll also pull an oracle card for some additional insight. As far as the decks being used this month, for the main tarot deck, we have the UFO Tarot, and for the Oracle deck, we'll be using the Wisdom of the Oracle. But we're actually going to start the reading off by rolling those astrology dice we have in front of us to get an idea of where your focus should be as far as that goes. Alright, we have the Moon. So, it makes sense to see this come up because, well, initially, before we officially get into June, there's going to be a full moon in Sagittarius on the 31st of May. But during the month of June, then we'll have a new moon in Gemini on the 14th of June. And toward the end of June, on the 29th, we'll have a full moon in your sign. So, at the very least, that would be a good indicator of why the moon's significant for you guys this month. But yeah, so that first full moon, like we said, technically at the end of May, but that'll be in your 12th house of mental health, spirituality, blind spots. Then the new moon in Gemini will be in your 6th house of work, health, daily routines. And then, of course, the full moon in your sign at the end of the month. We also have 1. So this could just be saying that you guys might have a little bit more focus on yourselves this month. Doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, of course, right? Especially given that, like we said, there will be a full moon in your sign at the end of the month. And we have Virgo. So for you guys, Virgo is actually your 9th house of philosophy, higher learning, foreign affairs. Astrologically speaking, we do have the South Node wrapping up a transit through there, but other than that, nothing going on just yet. But we'll keep all that in mind as we go through the main spread. For the first house, we have Temperance. So in general, first house points to personality, self-awareness, appearance, and to see Temperance here could just be saying that you might be feeling like you're really getting back to yourselves this month, Maybe you felt a little bit out of sorts for a while, but now I feel like this is saying you're really getting back in tune with what you're about. Getting more clarity if that's been lacking for you lately as well. All right, and for the second house energy of possession, self-worth, and finances, we have the 9 of Cups. So yeah, so here I get more of a feeling where you could actually just feel like you're a little bit overwhelmed, right? So maybe when it comes to finances, you might feel like you're alone on an island, right? Where you might have one approach to things where everyone around you might seem to be approaching things slightly differently. So it could feel like it's a little bit overwhelming. And for some of you, it could even be because you're doing very well with your finances, right? So because of that, people are looking in like, whoa, what is it that Capricorn's doing that they seem to have gotten it right in that area? All right, so for your third house, pointing to communications, short journeys, and siblings, we have the 10 of Wands. So yeah, so it could just be saying that you might feel a little bit overwhelmed when it comes to communication this month. You might feel like your words end up in the spotlight, so that could be aligning with what we saw with the second house too, right? Where, like I said, maybe you're having some success there, so everyone's really keeping a close eye on you to figure out what you're doing so they could try to apply it to their own lives, right? But in the process of that, you might just be feeling like it's a little overwhelming trying to keep up with that. And yeah, could just be saying in general, you might feel like communication is just a little bit much. So even if it's not directly related to people observing you with finances and things along those lines, just might feel like there's too many conversations coming your way. And that, at least in part, could be due to the fact that we do have Cancer in your opposite sign for most of June. It pretty much gets there right on the 1st of June and then retrogrades on the 29th of June. So maybe that's what makes the communication seem a bit overwhelming as well. In the 4th house of home, roots, and family, we have Strength. So this is the major arcana card for Leo. And to see this here, the artwork that I'm getting here is it points primarily to saying that you might be holding yourselves back, right? Maybe holding your egos back around certain dynamics, right? Where maybe you know that you're in the right, for example, but if it's a family member, you're like, you know what, rather than just go with an I told you so type of energy, you might just hold back from doing so. This could also just be saying that within your home environment too, maybe you're being a bit more measured, right? So maybe not just going over the top with anything in that area of life. For your fifth house of romance, creativity, and children, we have the Seven of Cups. So, yes, I would say this would be one of those things where maybe if you're getting yourselves back out there on the dating scene, right, you might just feel like these people in a whole other world from you, right? Where you're like, wow, what is going on here? Feels like they're worlds apart from where I'm at. So there could be a disconnect as far as that goes. Um, and then this could just be saying as well, maybe if you've been working on a creative project, right, it might really kind of throw people for a loop because it might feel so out of the ordinary from what they're used to for you. But doesn't necessarily have to be a negative thing in that regard, but just might catch them off guard at the very least. All right, for your sixth house energy, which points to health, work, and daily routines, we have the High Priestess. So yeah, so to see this come up here, it could just be saying that for some of you, you might actually just really find yourselves following your intuition when it comes to what you do, right? As far as your routines, how you go about your work lives. You just might feel like you just have these strong intuitive hunches that'll guide you in the right direction. And if that's the case, that could be part of why people are observing what you're doing too, right? And why it might even be overwhelming with the communication because you could just say, well, I don't even know how to give you an answer, right? I'm just following my intuition and it's working out, right? But to articulate that to someone could be tricky. For your seventh house energy of partnerships, contracts, and relationships, we have the Page of Wands. So yeah, this can just be saying maybe you're being a little bit more proactive than usual in that area of life, maybe being a little bit more adventurous. You're going to be the one seeking out these types of dynamics. So a super generic way of saying it, right, is like I said, if we say, oh, you got on a dating app or something, you're like, wow, okay, none of these people are really my cup of tea, right? Then maybe you could say, you know what? This person over here does catch my eye, so I'm just going to pursue them, right? If that's not your normal way of operating, that could come across as like a bit of an energy shift for you guys. But just in general, too, right? You might have an eye, again, maybe going off of your intuitive hunches for who would be good to partner up with as well, right? Maybe not just romantically, but even in a business sense, things along those lines. All right, for your eighth house, which covers quite a bit, but we would just say theft, rebirth, investments, intimacy. We have the Eight of Wands. So you might think that things are moving pretty quick in that area of life. Could be sudden shifts as far as that goes. But I feel like this is saying that, you know, the work that you put in that area of life, you will start to see some pretty rapid advancement in that area of life, which would be a positive, of course. And that does make me think of the fact that what could really be driving that, at least in part, is the fact that you guys still have Jupiter in your seventh house of partnerships, contracts, but at the very end of the month, it'll move into Leo. So that's your eighth house there. So that could be part of where that change is coming from. All right, so for your ninth house energy, we saw that with the dice as well. We have the Lovers. So this is actually the major arcana card for Gemini. And that is actually a sixth house energy for you guys. So I feel like this is tying right back into what we were talking about with the High Priestess, right? Which is to say that, yeah, all of a sudden something might shift for you to where it helps you approach your work lives in a different dynamic, right? It helps you maybe even approach your health routines, your daily routines in a different way. And it could just be one of those things where, again, even you might not know where exactly the information came from or how all of a sudden these messages were coming to you, but that could be part of it has you looking back, right, on your philosophy, like, whoa, where is this coming from, right? Maybe if you didn't believe in those kinds of things before, now you are, right? Things along those lines there. All right. And for your 10th house energy, which points to career and social status, we have the Tower. So, yeah, so this one, what what I think of when I see this card really is like all the issues that have gone on with SpaceX, right? Where they're like, oh, we're going to do this to launch and that launch, and there's been one issue after another. So I kind of view it as more something like that, right? Where obviously SpaceX is still in existence, still trying to do launches, right? Still advancing. So if there is something of a tower moment for you guys in your career, I feel like it's not going to be anything that's going to, blow the whole thing up necessarily, but just more of maybe ideas that you might have had that might have gotten elevated a little bit too quickly. You might come to the realization, okay, yeah, maybe there's still some work to do around that, right? Or you might even start to reconsider, like, do we even need to go that route, or can we just do something else? So there could just be some reconsiderations happening in that area of life. Right. So for the 11th house of friendships, groups, hopes, and wishes, we have the Three of Pentacles. So yeah, so this could just be saying that maybe you'll be building and growing some connections this month, right? And for some of you, it could be with people who are quite a bit different from you, right? We see looks like a miner there, right, with the helmet and everything, and then we see two aliens like, what's this person's deal? What are they doing here, right? So it could be one of those things where they might be connections that'll take you out of your comfort zone a little bit, but at the same time, you might actually find some surprising common ground and actually working toward common goals together. All right. And for your 12th house, which in general points to blind spots, mental health, spirituality, we have the Five of Pentacles. So this is a Taurus energy here, which for you guys is your 5th house of romance, creativity, children, right? But to see this here, I feel like this is saying that, maybe you, even if you're not showing it on the surface, right? Because, like I said, it looks like you could be experiencing some success when it comes to your finances. You might just feel like everything's very easy come, easy go, right? So it's like, okay, yes, you get the money, it comes right in, but then before you could even do anything fun with it, it's right back out the door, right? So that could be something that starts to concern you, right? We're like, okay, how long could the cycle go on, right, before I end up falling behind in some way? So that could be something that you at least have some fear around beneath the surface, even if you're not outwardly expressing it to a lot of people. All right, and for the bottom of the deck, we have the Page of Pentacles. So, yeah, this could just be one of those things where you're looking at maybe things that might be a little bit outdated as far as beliefs that you might have had, things along those lines, and not only figuring out if it's time to let those go, right, or can you repurpose them in some way. But yeah, for a lot of you, I feel like these are going to be things that you realize in the long run, maybe even related to the tower we see there, right? Like, okay, yeah, those things, I could have let them go a long time ago and just moving on with them. But we'll see what we get from your oracle card. So I'm just going to give this a few shuffles, then we'll cut the deck and pull a card. Make that a little less messy. But we'll take this card, get this out of the way, and we'll see what card you guys got. All right, we have Here and Now. There's the artwork. The number is 32, and we'll see what it has to say. All right, essential meanings says being fully present in a moment, living one day at a time. The oracle's message: everything happens in the now, in the present. Only this moment counts. You have what it takes to handle anything today if you let go of the need to look into the future or reflect on the past. Be present and notice what is going on right now. This very moment has the potential for you to create miracles in your life. So that's an interesting message there, right? Kind of makes me think of an energy of being in the zone. And I do see some energies of you possibly already being there, but for some of you, if you're not, maybe that's what that tower moment's about, right? Where maybe if you do find yourselves getting too ahead of yourselves, that could be what you end up scaling back there. The relationship message says it's easy to yearn for a love affair or friendship you may not have right now, one that is more romantic, more fun, more reliable, more passionate. The good old days are gone and a new day has dawned. Let your heart trust that you have everything you need right now, whether you have the relationship you desire or not. Tomorrow is beyond your reach. Yesterday cannot return. The now is all that is available to you. Stay present and aware that in this moment, as you cherish and approve of your beautiful self, you are a magnet for love. Spirit is madly in love with you right now. Did you know that? Turn to Spirit to feel the joy of love in the here and now. So yeah, definitely a pretty strong message there as well, right? Especially seeing that, like I said, when it comes to if you put yourselves back out on the dating scene, right? You might feel like, okay, these people are from a whole other planet to me. And then maybe deciding, you know what, I do have someone who I do have a lot of alignment with. I'm going to go that route. But yeah, I feel like this is saying that, just staying present, right? And maybe not putting too much pressure on things, and things might fall more into place as you go. But the prosperity message says, what you are working on is golden, and your efforts will leave a powerful legacy. Focus not on meeting a goal in the far off future, but on creating your dream now, releasing your desire for an outcome, and owning that it already exists. It will appear in the material world as if by magic. Claim your prosperity now. The essence is more important than the form. When you are immersed in prosperous thoughts, you automatically tune into a sense of timelessness and unlimited potential. You can act as if, in spite of the temporary outer conditions. You are prosperous at this moment. What you think now becomes a reality. Stay present. So, that's definitely an interesting message there, right? Because that does kind of give me an energy of the High Priestess energy, right? Where you could think things and then start to see them play out in reality. Like I said, some of you might be there to an extent already. But hopefully that resonates with you guys, and we'll wrap up there. All right, bye.